Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to use Excel, and more importantly, how to take our data from our fling machines, plug it into Excel, and to have some statistical analysis come out of it, save us a lot of time and so forth. So the first thing I've done, if you're unfamiliar with Excel, is I have plugged in our numbers, my 15 data points, my 15 distances that I recorded for my shots with my fling machine, how far my cotton ball went. This should be in inches, by the way. I rounded them to the nearest inch. I think that makes the most sense. It'll be the easiest for us. Then down here, I've written some simple things that I want to determine. Mode, mean, median, range. I'll also put in like standard deviation is another one that I need to calculate. And I'll plug these in as we go. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select my data right here. Okay, and I'm going to right click on it, and then I go sort, and I'm going to go smallest to largest. Boom, puts everything in order. Right away that gives me some great information. Okay, I now can see that my mode is obviously 11. Occurs the most times. My median also going to be 11. Okay, my range is from 7 to 12, so 12 minus 7 is 5. Okay. And then I need to calculate my mean and my standard deviation. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and put the equal sign in here. Okay, and then I'm going to pull down this list here. Now there's some basic functions here, but these are the most commonly used ones. Some that I've used most recently is average and standard deviation. So I'll put average in. Average is the same as mean. I will then select my data. Okay. So A1 through A15, A1, A15, I'll say OK, and boom, there's my mean. Standard deviation, very similar. I put the equal sign in, I pull down this list. Okay. Now it's up here because I've recently used it, but it might not show in yours, so you can go more functions. You can scroll alphabetically, starts with an S. Should be this STDEV. And again, select my data, and I'll say OK. And so I have a standard deviation of 1.5. It's a pretty low, pretty good standard deviation. Okay, so again, this means a little over 2/3 of my data falls within 1.5 inches, either above or below this 10.4 inches. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is create a histogram. Now, this is a little more involved, but I think we can get through it. Okay. So I need to go to this data tab if you're not there. So there's the home tab up here, which is the general one that you're going to see when you first come in. And then this data tab. And there's something over here called analysis that it's missing right now. And it should be missing on yours too. So we'll have to bring that up. So I'm going to go over to the file button. I'm going to go options. It's going to bring up this guy. I'm going to go down to add-ins. We need to add in a tool pack. So the analysis tool pack right here. I will then click Go. Okay. Then I want the analysis tool pack right there. I'm going to check it. I'm going to say OK. And boom, puts up data analysis. Okay. So before I get into this, I need to do one more thing here. I need to, in another column, put in my entire range. So what I mean there is I need to go 7, boom, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, that's my range. I went from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you had a range from, say, 7 to 25, you would need to count 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all the way to 25, put them in there. This may be smaller than this row. This may be bigger than this row. It just depends on what your range is. It depends on how consistent your fling machine was. But these are all the data values that I'll use. Okay, so now I can go data analysis. Okay, I'm going to choose histogram. Okay. I'm going to choose my input range, and that's going to be this data right here. Okay. My bin range, I'm going to click here, and that's going to be this data right here that I just plugged in. Again, my range of values. Okay. I'm going to click this output range. Okay. And a chart output down here. And then here in the output range, all I'm doing is just picking a cell where I want this graph to pop up. So I'm going to click a cell over here, somewhere away from my data. and I'll say OK. All right, and there's my histogram, popped right up. I can make it bigger if I need to. Okay. I can change this data right here. For example, it says Ben right now. I can change this to inches. I can change this title here to say shot distances. Okay. And now I can see a graph of my data. Okay. I had my mean, or my median was 11. Okay. My mean was somewhere between 10 and 11 here. Okay. I had a lot of my data in this area, but then I had a couple outliers. Okay. So it's not a good bell curve. It's not a perfect bell curve, but it's not bad. I did have some nice consistency in there and so forth. And that's how we do that. Now to print this, I'm going to make sure it's selected. So right now it's not selected. I click on it, selected. I go File. I go Print. Okay. You're going to want your printer to be this BSHP10 Crescent. Okay. And I click on that. If that printer does not show up, and chances are it might not be there, okay, you can go down to Add Printer. Okay. You can go Find Now, pull this down until you see the BSH10. Now it's right there, okay, and I would go OK and follow the instructions, go through. It's already added, so I'm not going to do it. This is common for you guys, though. You might do this more than once. You might find out that a week from now it's gone again. You have to go through and do it again. Not a big deal at all. Okay. I can then go Print, or even what makes more sense is maybe changing my orientation to portrait. So it's a little smaller. I don't need a giant histogram, but I can print that out. I can staple that to my activity, and I can turn that in when it's time. All right, guys, there you go. That's how you do that in Joy.